Hi, Ehsaan.
Hi, how are you doing, man?
Very well. Welcome to SudeepAudio's channel.
Great.
We've been working together for years now.
Many years now, I
Many
think.
years.
Since 1990 something. Yeah.
I'm not that old. But yes, SudeepAudio is very fortunate to have a client like you and who regularly buys software and
Always.
a lot of other things from us.
Yeah.
And thank you for that. I hope your experience has been
Fabulous, man. Others I wouldn't be buying from you all.
thanks again. So it's great to have you here. I mean, we're talking to you as an individual artist. It's nothing to do with SEL
Yeah,
and the
of course.
typical boring things of Amar Akbar anthem.
Yeah.
It's like too much. So, in brief, I mean, just for new viewers who haven't seen your other videos, in a short few sentences, if you could share your musical upbringing.
Well, actually, I started playing guitar just actually when I was finishing high school. I think it had been about 1970 something. And I learned from Bismarck Rodrigues, which a lot of people know. I mean, his son still teaches. He still teaches a bit. And from there, I joined a band, which actually with Bismarck's son Christopher, we had a band called Pegasus, and we did rock. I mean, but progressive rock for the time. In fact, it was not very popular because we did very different stuff.
Was this covers or
Covers, but like stuff like the Allman Brothers band, and a lot of twin guitar work and stuff like that. And then Sanjay Devecha and I had a band, which actually not too many people know. But I mean, people my generation would know that, but a lot of the new people don't know. We had a band called Crosswinds.
Cross?
Not Crosswinds. Not the same Crosswinds, which is from Calcutta.
Oh.
But Sanjay and I had a band, and we did a lot of good stuff, like REO Speedwagon.
So two guitar players in one band?
Two guitar players. It was great fun, In fact, a lot of learning happened at that time. And after which I went off to America to study music, to MI. And I came back in 86 and got into playing guitar in the studios with Ronnie Desai and then with Louis Banks for a long time. I was with Louis for about a year plus. And that was a great learning experience for me because, Louis is Louis. I mean, he's a fabulous musician. There's a lot to learn from him. And Ranjit and I, in the meanwhile, used to songwrite together, which, a lot of people don't know about that either. We had a band called Mickey's New Home, which is like best described as a progressive pop band,
Where do you get these names? I'm sorry.
Well, we just came up with the name. Actually, we saw it in some book and we said, let's call it that. And basically, we basically formed this band called Mickey's New Home, which was progressive pop, really good songwriting. And in fact, Sanjay Devecha was in the same band. There was Sanjay Devecha, me, there was Ranjit, and Carl Peters.
Okay.
And for a very short while, Zubin played keyboards, but Zubin couldn't keep it up between Rock Machine and us.
Okay.
So, and we did some really, really great songs, very, very progressive. And in fact, it went on pretty well outside of Bombay. But Bombay, somehow, I don't know, they liked the whole cover music thing. And at that time at least.
College festivals?
No, we did a couple of gigs outside in Calcutta and Goa and all, which went on very well. And we didn't play any covers.
Oh.
No covers at all. We only played like original material and very, very different. It was, like I said, progressive. There'd be leanings of fusion in it. There'd be leanings of jazz and rock, a lot of rock naturally, and pop. Which is like 80s kind of pop, which we were influenced by, like Level 42 and Go West and Tears for Fears. All great bands. So we did that for a little while, and then after that, I think we just basically Sanjay went off to America. We basically went all our own way, and I started doing my thing. Then SEL happened. So it's been quite a career.
Great. As a young guitarist, who did you kind of look up to when you used to kind of listen? I mean, try new techniques of playing and practice.
Well, actually, it was the normal growth. I think any rock guitar player at that time, or even now, actually, to really extent, listen to Smoke on the Water, and decided that he wanted to play guitar after hearing, and literally that's what happened to me. I heard it, and that was it. I started playing guitar there. And of course, aping Smoke in the Water, playing it in a completely wrong way. But and
you still remember?
Yeah, that was played. I played it completely wrong. Because see, the first chord I learned was a D chord. So I decided if I move this chord up and down, it'll sound like Smoke on the Water. Which of course is totally wrong. And the real way of playing it is. So that's the real way of playing it.
So when did this learning happen?
Well, actually, no. Of course, then you learn how to play it eventually. But that was the process, and listening to the blues, and I got it very heavily into playing blues because that is really the sound that turned me on.
What kind of bands or
And
singers?
Johnny Winter, Eric Clapton, there's so many, B.B. King, Freddie King, and Nakul Kamte, is a very famous engineer, also a very very close friend of mine. And so much of my learning and so much of my listening has happened because of him, because we used to hang out every day,
Right.
and we'd listen to music the whole day. I mean, he had like a wall full of records, and we'd listen to all kinds of stuff, whether it was Chicken Shack, Savoy Brown, then some unknown German bands, Eloy, all kinds of stuff, whether it was rock or whether it was blues or whether it was anything, just music, just a lot of music.
It's very interesting because in your younger days we didn't have any of the internet thing existing.
Nothing.
How
man.
did you have access to all
Well,
these?
actually, the thing is that, if you traveled or somebody traveled, they brought records down. And you copied it, I mean, you taped it, because, that is the only thing that you could do.
Hmm.
And in fact, this friend of mine, Anil, his sister used to come down from America like twice a year. And she used to bring down like serious amount of albums, 10 years after, and Santana, and, with a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So basically, we grew up listening to a lot of different music. I find a lot of kids today suffer from this tunnel vision of only listening to one kind of music, or no, this is what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
But with us, it was listening to everything that came your way, because, it was this thing. So, I mean, as a result of which, I was into rock, I was into like Earth, Wind and Fire, I was into Bob Dylan, I was into anything. I mean, literally anything. So you'd be,
Right.
and suddenly like Nakul one day pull out an album which is like classical, like listen to that. But of course, a lot of that stuff did go over your head, but you listened to it because it was new and something that you hadn't heard before. So that was, in fact, that was a very important part of my musical growth.
Okay.
That I heard so many styles of music,
Okay.
and I got into so many styles of music. Yeah.
Right. You've grown up in Bombay,
Yeah.
so didn't Bollywood affect you at that time because it was musical?
Well, see, I used to listen to Bollywood music when I was a kid. My mom used to have the radio on all the time. So, old music, Pyasa, and, all the old, Jawani Diwani,
Right.
and all the old Shami Kapoor films, and all that used to be playing on radio all the time.
Right.
But there were a couple of songs that I used to listen to as a kid. In fact, this is a very interesting story, which used to affect me a lot. And I used to listen to these songs. One of them was the song from Anupama called what's it? Kuch Dil Ne Kaha, which I think is one of Lataji's best sung songs, composed by Hemant Kumar. That was one song. The other song was from Sharmili, which was like Khilte Hai Gul Yahan. I'd hear these songs and it would affect me in a very emotional kind of way. I'd hear these songs even as a kid. I'm talking about 6, 7 years old, and say that, man, these songs are really special, And I used to always listen to them, sit in front of the radio and listen to it. And like it was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, we had done a song called Bolna Halke Halke for Jhum Barabar Jhum. And I asked Shankar, what is the scale? I really love this scale. So he said the scale is called the Bhim Palasi, and I said, oh, superb. So I got onto the internet and I did a search. There's a site called bhimpalasi.com or raga. Whatever one of those things.
Yeah.
So I went to Bhim Palasi, and then it gave me a list of songs which have been composed in the scale. And all of my favorite songs was composed in the scale of Bhim Palasi.
Oh.
So it is amazing that at that young age, that one scale, the notes touched me so much. And even now, when I hear songs in Bhim Palasi, like when I heard the song called Tu Mile Dil Khile from the film called, I can't remember the name of the film, with Manisha Koirala in it.
Oh, yes.
And the Tu Mile Dil Khile, I said, oh wow, this is great. And it's again in the same scale.
Right.
So that was my, Bollywood at that time was very good. I think I saw every movie possible at that time with my folks.
But in your musicality and while playing on stage, did any of that affect you in terms of your maybe, I know?
No, not at all. In fact, the thing is that, see, at one point when you became a rock musician, you went anti everything else that was not rock.
Okay.
And the first victim is Bollywood, So, and of course, and so, one didn't listen to that. But I did watch a few Hindi films and all at that time, but, I was into rock. I was into big time into rock. And, but it never really appealed to me as such, that I'd be any kind of musician composing or even playing for Bollywood. However, life went in a completely different direction.
Correct.
But that was, the way it was.
Correct. So, once you kind of, as SEL, started making, I mean, Dil Chahta will be remembered for years to come. Did any of your musical upbringing come into your playing in Bollywood once you entered this field?
Well, actually, once we got into Bollywood, composing music. And of course, the thing is that, you know, I mean, and forget about Bollywood. Let's not get there.
Okay.
When I used to compose music for jingles, which I still do,
Right.
there are a few Hindi jingles which I did then. In fact, the first jingle that I ever did, actually, and I think somebody asked this question on your Facebook page,
Okay.
was the first jingle that I composed.
Right.
It was a jingle for Sona Spices.
Okay.
And this jingle was in Hindi. And the way it flowed in Hindi came out very nice. So in fact, the copywriter asked me, "Kya aap Hindi music compose karte ho?" I said, "मैं तो music नहीं कर Hindi में, I just compose." But this is in Hindi, so it's, you know, he's saying, "But no, it's sounding like very nice. It almost sounds like a Hindi film song." So I said, "Okay." Then later on, I composed a song for Synthol Satin, you know, which is like it's a powder, some powder, whatever, and that worked out beautiful. And again with the flow, you know, at that time I remember Vinod Rathod came and sang the song.
Okay.
And he's saying, "Aapko, you know, films can be composed karna chahiye." I said, I was like, no, I'm not interested in Hindi films now. Then we did a jingle for Breeze, which became a very famous
This
jingle
was on
for
your
quite
own?
some. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a jingle for Close Up, which was also in Hindi. Hardam
Right.
ताजगी का एहसास देता है
Right.
Close Up का विश्वास, whatever. And so I had that thing, you know, that I could compose in Hindi and compose very comfortably with the aesthetic, which that I followed, but with a certain melodic approach to the writing, which would be popular.
Right.
So, you know, I knew that I could do it if I wanted to, but it never really was a plan, you know. Then of course we were composing music for commercials, and Loy and I got together. And when we were composing music for Mukul, we used to do all his commercials at one time. He said, "I'm making a film," and he said, he said, "Call me to the office. You know, Mukul wants you to come to the office."
Right.
You never asked why or what. You have to go to the office.
Okay. He was a
He's a
big
sweetheart.
name.
He's an absolute sweetheart. I went to his office and he's saying, "I'm making this film called Das, and I want you to do music for it." So I too said, "No chance. I'm not doing for a Hindi film at all. I'm too scared of Hindi movies." He said, "What is wrong? You know who I am? I'm the biggest director." I said, "I know, Mukul, but you know, Hindi films is not my space here." He said, "Don't care." He said, "Do one song at least."
Okay.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Chalo, I'll do one song, but I want to do the Loy and, you know, Shankar." So I said, "Okay, whatever." And then that became, you know, career.
Okay.
But it was always there that I could sing, but it didn't come into my guitar playing in any way. But in terms of my approach to music, I'm very happy that I've, you know, it's like a gold mine, you know, like to really tap into.
Right.
That you listen to all that music as a kid, and then, you know, that makes a big difference.
That's nice to know. We are very proud to know that we have an artist like you who's been endorsed by a company like Fender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're the first guy from
Yeah.
India. So it's a very proud moment for all of us, and hearty congratulations for
Thank you for that.
that. So, your own signature series, could you run us through the features that it
Well,
has?
it's based on a Fender Stratocaster, which is like, I think, the most popular guitar ever made. And though it's customized for my liking, you know, it's got two humbucker pickups, so, you know, and a completely different switching system. It's got a nice small neck, which is good for Indian guitar players because, you know, all of us are generally smaller
Built.
than people in the West. You know, they have big hands, they're big people.
Right.
So it's very comfortable to play. It's very versatile for different styles of music, you know, country, whatever you want to do. So, and it's obviously it's done very well, you know, because we've sold out a lot of stocks. In fact, now there's a new one which is available in the market,
Right.
which is for now a limited edition, which is gold in color.
Wow.
And in fact, that's in shops right now. And
So these are the inputs you gave Fender
yeah, of
while
course.
building
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So, any of your songs have the signature series?
Well, actually, you can hear it on like the background score, Milka. You know, there's, you know, I've used two guitars in that, but I've used the signature series. When I play live, I always use the signature series. You know, so that's there.
Right.
Though in recordings are used because, you know, song to song, you use many other, you know,
Right.
guitars. So I'm like here
Right.
the Fender Telecaster, which I haven't been using live for SEL,
Right.
but I use it for other stuff. You know.
Okay. You also have a blues band, right?
Yeah.
Which you do a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while.
Yeah.
Mostly in Calcutta.
They're from Calcutta. They call the Saturday Night Blues Band, and they play in this place called Someplace Else, which is a pub in Calcutta, which I think is really fantastic because it's one pub that doesn't charge entry,
Okay.
and they have live music every night. You know,
Okay.
and two bands maybe sometimes, two bands every night.
Right.
And in fact, they're celebrating a 20th some anniversary this year, which I'm performing for.
Great.
So you know, so there's and so I you know, I often go down because I love the audience there. They're very into the music, and it just gives me a chance to step out and do something different.
Right. Speaking of doing something different, we have a lot of these, like someone called them arty musicians. who are not into commercial music, I would say you are in both. You are a part of a very strong, important part of commercial cinema for the last 15, 20 years. And you also have these other kind of interests. They have, I mean, some of them told us that, when a musician becomes popular, and obviously he makes money, etc., etc., his musicianship, takes a backseat. He's not the guy that he started out to be. He started out to be something and has gone some other direction. What is your view on that?
Well, the thing is that, see, I mean, musicians go through transformations, and I don't see there's anything wrong with that. The point is that here, whatever we are doing, whether I'm doing Bollywood or whether I'm doing something else, I'm doing it with the same kind of commitment. So my commitment is not less. I believe in the music as much as I believe in the other music which I used to do before, which I still do. But I don't think that's a very valid thing to say that you should only be doing one kind of thing and that you were something else. But hey, I've transformed, I've grown into somebody, in someone else. Everyone grows. And growth has to be upwards, not like sideways. Yeah. But, or downwards. You want to grow, you want to become better. So if yesterday I was a heavy metal guitar player and today I'm a composer of film scores, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's fantastic.
Great.
And so, I mean, it's good to be in touch with your instrument, but a lot of people choose to completely get into something else. The guitar players who are now completely into programming. Now, I won't go and tell them that, man, no, you should have, it's not good, you should have been a guitar player only.
Or why did you leave?
Yeah, the point is that, I mean, yeah, it's nice. It's your starting instrument. It's good for you to be in touch with that. But hey, whatever works for you, there's no set rules as to what you should be doing. And then see also there's the other thing is that, you can play your own music and sit at home and do a 9-to-5 job. Sure, it's all very valid. Be a hobbyist guitar player. Or be a professional musician and do what comes your way, and that's what you do. You have to survive doing music. I'm very thankful with have gratitude every day that I can wake up and say that, man, I'm looking forward to going to the studio because today I'm going to be doing something in music, that I don't have to go and work in some bank, in Fort somewhere and complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all that way. So you have to be thankful for what there is.
Correct. So for young musicians, there's nothing wrong to aspire to play in films.
Nothing wrong.
You don't have to
there's so many guitar. Like I just met a guitar player outside Abhilash. He's a studio guitar player. He does the whole film thing. He plays with only film people, and he plays what he does well. So that's valid. Yeah, right. It's valid. It doesn't mean that he has to go and be a blues guitar player or be a country western guitar player. He can do what he wants. You can do what you want. Do it well and do it with commitment. And I think that has in as much respect as being anything else.
Right. That's a fantastic input.
Yeah.
Any other instrument that you play or?
Well, I besides playing guitar, I like to play. I love synthesizers. I mean, you know how much software I bought from you. So I'm constantly even on our songs, the little inputs here. I can't play keyboards, but I can program small parts and little arpeggiators and little pads and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I'm very very fond and I have a thing for texture. And so I do a lot of that, synthesizers. I mean, I love synthesizers.
Okay.
I have this completely different side to me, which is completely into techno and trance and that kind of stuff.
Correct. We have a lot of these independent bands these days who are, trying to make it on their own because not everybody gets a chance or opportunity in a film. So they are doing it in their own way. Where there are some new music channels that have come up, etc. Anything that you'd like to tell them that do these things or don't do these things kind of.
See, the thing is that I think the most important thing to concentrate on is the songwriting. I mean, you can have the image, you can have the equipment, you can have everything. You could be working in a studio like Yashraj, but if you don't have a good song, it means nothing. And I mean that in any style of music. The songwriting being the most important point. See, content is king today. We all know that. It's not about a record company. It's not about anything else. You got a good song will work. And so that is the first thing to keep in mind, that if you're doing indie music, make sure that your songwriting is really good. Be critical about yourself. Maybe get a target group of people, people who are not sycophants who will say that you're the best in the business. People who listen to your music and be able to tell you, hey man, I think the song sucks. Or I think the song is great. So test it that way. And eventually, I guess once you start performing and all that, you will see the response. Or you will see the response to your song being downloaded or, from wherever. But that is a very important thing, to make sure that the musicianship is of a certain level and to make sure that your songwriting is of a certain level and be aware of the quality, because I get a lot of demos from from different people, whether it's a singer, whether it's a band or something, and the vocals will be out of pitch, and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you have to use pitch correcting Melodyne software, whatever, but at least make sure that you deliver something which is good. So, and don't say that, oh man, no man, we don't have the budget and all this. So, no, you can do. I mean, we used to record without Melodyne and all that. We used to work on half-inch and work on 4 tracks. And the singer sang beautifully, and, you did 100 takes, but you got the take right.
Correct.
So, it's a very, you have to have come from that experience. Now, today, digital and computers and all gives you, there's a myriad of things that you can do. But always remember that your basic thing that you put onto tape has to be good.
Right. Okay. So who is your biggest critic in terms of, do you kind of have somebody who you ask usually?
Well, actually, the thing is that starting with the 3 of us, I in particular tend to be very objective about our music. You can be very subjective, saying, oh man, it's a beautiful song. But no, if I feel it sounds like something else, or it feels like it's not exciting, even I would go and bounce our own song. And I've done that very often. I've done that very often, and I had fights with Shankar and Loy, where I really don't think that the song works, and eventually we've come up with something better. But it's not saying that every time I'm correct, because sometimes you just tend to react in a particular way. Maybe you've got to give something. Sometimes you have to give a song more time. But that's a very important thing.
So in your case, you do your guitar parts and some synth parts on the song. How long does it take for you to work on a song?
Well, we've composed, like Kal Ho Na Ho took us about 7 minutes to compose. Dil Chahta Hai, the entire album, we did in 2 days. But the point is that your basic composition has to come correctly. Then producing it, you can take, depends, man. You can do a song with just an acoustic guitar and voice. Or you can produce a song really, like Milkha took time. Milkha took time, Dawn took time. Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna took time. Like Zindagi Na Mili. All these films where you hear the music very intricate. Even now what we've done for Shad, which is Kill Dil, that's taken time. We've really juiced the music,
Okay.
Added this, taken this off, then canned an entire part of the song. When you have time, you can do that. Okay. But eventually your critic is 1 billion people in this country who listen to Hindi music, who can take your music and shoot it down in a second, and then it doesn't matter whether you recorded strings in America and mastered at Abbey Road, and it doesn't matter. It can just go. So you basically, but there again, it's about the song. It's about the song. Your film may not do well, and it may completely flop. But then you have a good song, which like say Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. Unfortunately, the film didn't do well, but the music is still is like huge.
Yes.
Even now, but because the songs are good, and it's not just production; it's about songs.
Right. How many hours a day do you get time to practice?
Well, when I wake up, first thing I do is play guitar. When I'm eating breakfast, I'm playing guitar. Then I work out and stuff and come to work, and I'm doodling the whole day on the guitar. Right. And a lot of my work is on guitar, whether it's composing or whatever. So that's it's always in my hand.
Correct. Do you sing too?
No, I sing to compose.
Okay. And
I have sung a little bit, like in this film Rock On. There's this scene when this guy, what's his name, Purav, takes his tarpaulin off this jeep, and it cuts back to a flashback of these guys driving. There's a song there which I've sung. And in fact, a lot of people now ask me that, man, who sung that song? Where can we get that song from?
Okay. Do you remember that? And can you hum it for us?
Yeah. The melody was na 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 na, something like that, man. I can't remember the words, but a lot of people ask me to record it.
Have Shankar and Loy ever asked you to sing?
Well, I don't even suggest it here. I kind of shy away from that. Though I can sing. I used to sing in the band earlier. When I used to sing in Crosswinds, I used to sing. Right. Lead vocals was for some song.
Wow.
I'm going to just get back into it, I guess, sometime.
Okay, cool. Ehsaan, thank you very much for spending time with us. And
my pleasure.
We hope that you keep on delivering hits after hits.
Thank you very much.
Have a great musical life.
Thanks.
Thanks, bye.